Okay, so I'm recording. I hope that is okay for everyone because some people would like to get what we're presenting on today after the presentation. They couldn't be a part of the presentation with us. So we have four speakers today. We're going to start with Dora. Then we're going to have Guyani, Temba, and Alison. Thank you. Dora, over to you.
Good afternoon, everyone. As I've been introduced, my name is Dora Marema. I am with Gender CC, but also the Green Business College and the Ubuntu project, which we started with Team Nectar Farms. So I will just share briefly the experiences that we've had, with community gardens and, some of the lessons that we are learning. And I must just say that, this is not, something that has been going on for a very long time. We started this during lockdown, very much in the first week of April. So I'll be just sharing that brief experience. So we started the Ubuntu project in the beginning of lockdown, and it was in partnership with Team ABBA of Team Nectar Farms that we came up with this idea. And it was sparked by people like Team and many others who are small producers who were stuck during lockdown with produce that they couldn't sell. And this was before the permits that were issued, and we know about the permits that were issued for people to be allowed to to go and deliver the food that they were that were part of what they're producing. So one of the things that we earlier on discussed was with the vegetable boxes that we were delivering in the communities, and this I'm talking around the region G of City of Johannesburg in the Vaal, where we worked with 12 communities in partnership with Team Nectar Farms, was that it was important for us to also deliver or to make available the seedlings, the seeds, and the compost, as well as the instructions for the households to be able to start their gardens. And as we were working with them, with these communities, we found that a lot of them had a lot of passion of growing their own food. There wasn't really, a lot of houses without gardens already. So what we were adding in was a bit of variety to the mix. And as we were walking around, we realized that there is a lot of potential for these communities to be able to build up something that was a bit more long-term rather than just a small contribution. There were some that were really keen to learn more about growing food. I mean, how, about soil fertility, how to make seedlings, how to also make compost. And as we were in conversation with them, we looked at a way in which we could be able to partner with them. And one of the ways was that we would then introduce the concept of growing, of them learning how to make seedlings that would be bought back by Team and the other farmers that he's been working with. And I think there are about 15 of those farmers that Team works with. So we found that was really exciting. And I think it was at the same time when we got a lot of interest on social media from, people around Johannesburg who said they would like to be able to have access to this Ubuntu box that we were distributing to the communities during COVID-19 lockdown. And we started discussing the issue of selling this box and offering a delivery service in the households, in households where people could afford, in the East Rand, West Rand, Johannesburg inner city, the northern suburbs, and also the south, meaning covering all the areas of Johannesburg. And what we decided to do at that point was also, okay, we give them this opportunity to buy, because this was not our initial purpose of setting up this Ubuntu project, was so that we could get people to donate money or buy these boxes from this group of farmers, including team, that would deliver in the neighborhoods where these farmers live. And we then realized that it's an opportunity for us to ask that when people are buying a box, they pay a little bit more than our donated box, which was costing 220 at the time, that they buy it at 300 Rand, so that we could be able to donate a gardening starter pack for the households that need to set up their own gardens. And we were looking in the same area where we were working at the time. And this was something that was so exciting. There were many people who didn't only just buy their boxes, but they also wanted to just support this initiative of donating the seedlings and the seeds and the compost. We then decided to partner with a couple of the people in these 12 communities that were showing some real interest in taking this up, food growing as a business. And we explored the possibility of them getting training from team on these aspects that I mentioned earlier: soil fertility, compost making, and seedling making. And as a way of amplifying, then we were looking at identifying 10 so-called champions in each of these communities who would spearhead this. So as a result, what we also thought of was for them to identify a communal space for them to be able to work together, to grow together, not only the fresh produce, but largely the seedlings that would be bought back by the Ubuntu project as part of our box system for selling the starter packs, but also to other projects or to other communities that are looking, or even organizations, NGOs that were looking to set up gardens. So that's how it started. And so obviously there were a lot more orders for Ubuntu boxes, which meant a lot more donations. And we started thinking outside, that we would like to be able to donate in the greater Gauteng, as long as we could partner with whoever would like to get a donation of the seeds and the seedlings and the compost, for them to be able to contribute by way of paying for the transport that would go to the farm, team's farm, to be able to collect these. And since then, we saw a huge interest. We have set up communal gardens in Shawela, in Protea. We've set up communal gardens in El Dorado Park, communal gardens in Zandspruit, in a number of communities. However, one of the most important things that we learned from that was the buy-in of the people themselves. So usually you find someone who's so passionate, who makes the first contact, and then request for these donations, and we then mobilize. So as part of our Ubuntu project, we have also been offering business training to the farmers, established farmers, that we have been buying some of the produce from. And as part of them paying it forward, we have been asking them to partner with us whenever we get a request for donation of seedlings, to come along with us, to be able to teach the people how to grow, how to plant those donated seedlings, and also teach them a little bit about soil fertility and other things. So we find that, we've been mobilizing resources and people's time, and we pitch up in these areas. And there's a bit of a disjoint, like there's no, real interest from the people who are on site. So this is the one thing that we found. And for us, it's a challenge, because the major question is, with all the time invested by the trained farmers who have to give back their time, and us, including the donated materials, the seedlings and everything, and the compost, we would really like to have the people in the community itself, whether it be an orphanage or a shelter house or whatever, or a church, for them to be really interested in this, because they are the ones that have to be looking after this once we are left, because they won't be able to have us all the time. So that is the one thing that we are learning, that in the rush for everyone to get a contribution of seeds and seedlings and get a garden set up, that they almost are not taking everybody along with them. And for us, that is an important part that we believe has not been very strong, at least from those who are coming to us. So you have one champion contacting us, but the rest are left behind. And when you get there, she's struggling to be able to get other people to be on the program to also participate and contribute what I call skin in the game, right? So if they're not buying seedlings, they're not buying compost, they're not contributing to the transport, then what is their skin in the game? And something that would also give us the assurance that once we have left, this garden will be able to thrive. So I find that the one hook that we've been, trying to hook on is, grow the seedlings, we will come back and buy them from you. So that means there's money to be generated from that. So that is the one part. But it's definitely important to have local buy-in. When we were in Zandspruit, there was a challenge where we were at a shelter, and the shelter told us they are not going to involve the people in the community because there's theft that is going on and all of these things, and vandalism, and people have got a sense of entitlement. So we believe that it's also important before the intervention that you go do a site visit, see who's there, who's going to be involved on the day of the planting, who else can be brought in to partner. If there are tensions within the community, can we get some community leaders who will be able to come onto the table to have a conversation, and in that way look at how can we be able to utilize this intervention to build social cohesion, to really start bringing the others who are sitting on the sidelines. Because if everyone is participating in this and they too get a skill to be able to start working, to start generating their own food in their backyard, once they learn the skill and get the contribution of seeds and seedlings, there will be no need for them to come and steal. This is just what I thought. So yeah, I think that's in a nutshell what we are learning, and I'm sure there's more. I believe Tim is in the call. He can also answer if people come up with any questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dora. We appreciate the input. We are going to ask Vuyani to share with us their experience. Themba has just asked to jump out for a minute. He's going to connect through his laptop so that the connection is better. Vuyani, are you still with us?
It looks like he disappeared for a moment.
So while we're waiting for Vuyani and Themba to come back to us, can we ask Alison to share with us a little bit about the seedlings, seedling propagation, and the project that they are working on, and how we can all be part of those kinds of projects?
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me and see me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. Hi, everyone. Okay, so yeah, this is a very exciting thing that started about 2 weeks ago, and it just seems to have its own life, and it just seems to be, yeah, sort of emerging, and we're going along for the ride with it. So the people who are involved are Tim Abar and Nadia De Lange and myself, and the idea basically came from what Tim and the Ubuntu project are already doing with their seedlings and encouraging people to propagate seeds. And I've been the admin of the Food Tank South Africa group for a while, and just watching the explosion happening in food gardening in the last few months, and realizing what an important thing it is that people have the seedlings that they need for gardening. So one of the things that I've been really interested and concerned about is how can people who have more resources contribute to this food gardening movement, and not only financially, which is important, but I really like Dora's idea of getting skin in the game. So the basic idea for this is that volunteers contribute by paying a deposit of 200 Rand, And that gets them a kit, which gets delivered to them. And that kit includes a bread crate, which has enough space to grow 88 seedlings in seedling containers. They also get compost, and they also get 2 different kinds of seeds from a list of 5 seedlings that Tim has identified, which are the seeds which are most needed at the moment for propagation. So the seedlings that we are going to be growing in this next round are spinach, cabbage, beetroot, lettuce, and one other one, which I've forgotten. I'll remember in a moment, or Tim can let you know in the chat. So we've worked out a proportion that at the moment people need 50% spinach seeds. So that's what we are going to be growing. So everyone's going to get the kit, and then they're also going to get support. So there will be instructions on how to grow these seedlings, and we're going to have a WhatsApp group to support people with that. And every week people will send a picture of their seedlings to make sure that everything's on track, and so they can get support if they need them. And then by the 4th week, if the seedlings are well grown, then we will collect the seedlings, and Tim will then use them in the various projects that have already been mentioned. So why are we doing this? There are a number of reasons why we feel this is important to do. And one is that we want to promote a culture of people sharing seeds and seedlings. And we want to promote a community of practice and a culture and a movement around this. And actually, it's really interesting to watch people get excited and get involved and basically make clear that they're very keen to learn how to do this. It's a skill they want to learn. And also some people have the skill and they want to share the skill and their capacity with other people. So that is very nice to see. And we want to create a movement around this beyond, you know, what we're doing in this first round with the project. You know, we just want people to get involved in sharing seeds and seedlings and feeling comfortable and confident to be able to do that. And there can be many ways that this project can grow. So we've already found that there are people who have an idea to link this to school service community hours. So apparently kids need to do community service for schools, and people are seeing a possibility there. And other people are getting excited because they want to learn how to propagate seeds because of small businesses they want to start. And we see this project as a kind of an incubator for future businesses. And there's a possibility to buy seedlings back if people start producing them at scale. Other people are saying, you know, they want to propagate seedlings, but not necessarily to give back to Tim. And that will be possible after the first round. So it is also a possibility for people to buy the kit effectively, and then to use that to propagate seedlings that they can then donate in their own communities or cans or ways of doing it. And of course, once people have had some practice with this, they may not necessarily need to buy the kit for us. So the kit is a kind of a scaffolding. It's an easy way for people to start to get involved in the project. Yeah, if there are any other questions about this, please ask in the chat. And also Tim is here, so he may answer anything that I've left out. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So please do keep your questions. We will have a round of questions once all the speakers have spoken. Next, I'm going to invite Themba. Themba Chauke is the coordinator of 10,000 Gardens, a project in Limpopo. So Themba, please tell us about the work that you've been doing. People, please, everybody, can you please either write your questions? If not, just keep them for the Q&A section. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, and I hope everyone can hear me. So my name is Themba Chauke. I'm the 10,000 Gardens project coordinator in Limpopo of Slow Food. And I am also with Landless People's Movement. We are also part of Landness. I hope you all know about Landness. So the overview about the 10,000 Garden Project. The 10,000 Garden Project is a project that has been introduced by Slow Food. I am among some of we were young activists who got an opportunity of scholarship to study in Italy in the University of Gastronomic Science, with the purpose that we carry the vision of the 10,000 Gardens in Africa project. So when I came back to South Africa in 2015, that's where I started my engagement with the 10,000 Gardens project. So it's the project that is happening all over Africa. So I'm coordinating in Limpopo these gardens. So I'm involved in, especially in the area called Bembe. I was more fortunate before I started this garden. We started implementing it before I came back. While I tried some other people to coordinate for me, but the message that was sent by the people that I asked to send the message to the people was different because people were expecting more. You know, is the organization from Italy and all the stuff like that. So people were expecting more from the project. So when I came back, it was easy for me to communicate with the people so that they understand. That's why some of the gardens that were initiated before I came back failed because the message that were communicated to the people was different. So what makes this project, what made this project successful on my side, I think is because I found organized people. There were people around Bembe who call themselves Adopt a River. It's just an environmental group who goes around cleaning the community streets, collecting those garbages, so that making sure that the streets are clean, so that when water flow to the rivers, that they don't flow with the garbages, and they're also cleaned by the river banks. So I met the chairperson of the organization, and I spoke to him, and he gave me I invited him to Italy. We have got every 2 years we've got a Terra Madra event that's happening in Italy. So he was passionate about it. Then we made a meeting with the community where I spoke to them and gave them the idea of the gardens. So I can tell you, since then, the since 2015, we've established as many gardens as we can. I remember on the Slow Food catalog, we've registered over 45 gardens, but all in all, we've created plus or minus 80 gardens that we've created. And the gardens is spearheaded mostly by women. We've got 99% women in the garden, in the project, who are from 100 villages. So even though some are quitting, but we make the community own the project, so that the community project is not really owned by one person. We just get a coordinator of the certain garden, so that even if someone quit from the project still continues. They still take charge of them of the project. So that's what makes the garden successful. So since then, I've discovered that even the entrepreneurship development is coming to those communities. They're no longer focusing on collecting garbages voluntarily. They're also taking this seriously, whereby we've got some good stories in regards to this. We've got one garden that the school supports by buying, and also support by buying the seedlings for those women. So even the produce that they produce is also used for the school feeding scheme. So most of our gardens are operating under the schoolyard, whereby, because we've got challenges of land and resources such as water in the area. So some gardens depend only on rain, and while other gardens all depend on whereby you need to water the garden. So schoolyard are the one that are assisting us in that regards, whereby people are able to do it throughout the year. Like even in winter time, we've got some couples of gardens that are operating under the school. So some of the challenges that we are facing is that you remember the schools are operating autonomous, like they are not central controlled. You find that sometimes this school does not understand the project. You find that the communities are getting this, some even leave. I remember we've got one, if not two gardens that left the schoolyard because they had grown their crops, and when the time to harvest, the teachers had to sold their products without their knowledge, and they have to leave those things. So it's not all of them, but most of the school are very much welcoming to our project, but very few are not welcoming. So those are some of the challenges: water, land, yeah, and I think also training. We are in the process, as you know. I'm very much grateful to some of the people who visit us to see our project. I've got friends who just pay for my tuition to study permaculture course so that I'm able to teach those communities. So those communities, what I've discovered is that they really want to see our visibility. Every time when you come and visit them, they get very much encouraged to continue doing the activities. So sometimes we've got some little bit of resources which are scarce to go and visit them now and then. But every time you visit them, they become very much encouraged. So I think this is what is happening. And I'm very much grateful for now, since we also involved with Landness. There are some promising activities that are coming on board, of which I think are gonna be helping in the project. So anyway, up so far the project is going well. It is under there's an organization that I'm working with, which is called Adopt the River. We're calling it Cabbages, but now they're just producing food since I introduced them to the 10,000 Gardens project. I thank you.
Thank you so much, Themba. I'm sure there will be questions for you, but we are going to take time to introduce Vuyani Kamata, coordinator for Gugulethu Urban Farming Initiative, GUFU. Vuyani, the floor is yours.
As you've introduced, it's the Gugulethu Urban Farming Initiative. On its own, it's new since the lockdown. And that came about when I'm also a member of the Philippi Horticultural Area Food and Farming Campaign. I'm an EXCO member there. So in our communications or in WhatsApp group, there was a mention that the Cape Town Together, there's an initiative to spearhead or allow communities to start what they call community action networks. And when I saw that clip, and then I immediately Googled and checked, and then all of a sudden I saw already there was a Gugulethu Community Action Network started. And I immediately raised my hand with the coordinator of that group, Pamela Silwana, and then I immediately went, and the only thing I offered for myself was, I've got a buggy, so that's all I can help with at that time. And then she said, they really said, wow, at the right time. And I was one of the first people to be volunteering to assist. It wasn't long. In the second week, it started to be very busy working on a database collection and with mostly the vulnerable homes. And it was in the third week that we saw there were already about 2,000 households in our database in the Gugulethu Cairn. And then immediately there was the beginning of the food parcels being distributed. And then I think it was 2 or 3 times that we distributed the food parcels. And on a side, I went to speak to the coordinator and I said, Sisi, this part in terms of food parcels, the database collection, has been successful so far. And let me introduce that there are farmers also in Gugulethu who are also affected by this lockdown. For example, the farmers like us operating from schoolyards. And she was taken aback, farmers in Gugulethu. And then she just said, please go with it, Tata. And then I went for it, because immediately what I explained to her was that there are existing farmers in Gugulethu, there are existing farmers in the greater Cape Town that are mobilizing to have a farmers forum in the townships. We've got serious issues as farmers in townships. And I said, for me, I see that they also need some support during this time, because the schoolyards or the schools were closed as well when the lockdown came in. And I've said, there is going to be need when the schools reopen. We don't have compost, we don't have access to water, we even struggling to an extent in accessing market, you know. So in that, then she said, okay, so we started what we call now Gugulethu Can, Farmers Can in Gugulethu. So we've, besides the actual community action network of Gugulethu, we've got now the Farmers Can in Gugulethu, which we call GUFI, Gugulethu Urban Farming Initiative. And since then, what I said to her was the kind of support, if it comes, with the existing farmers, it would be nice that we support and revive gardens in the backyards. And there are also market gardens in Gugulethu. And I said, the kind of support we get, we will then try to help revive in those community backyard gardens. And we will also try to help revive some of the existing market gardens in Gugulethu. But I said, well, because already people, when we posted our first group, already people were excited and interested, and we said, okay, we will have to also have a section where we try to start new backyard gardens. And I must say, up to now, we are now in garden number 12. It's about 5 of the existing backyard gardens, 4 of the new gardens that we started in the backyards, and we are now in a 3rd community garden, which is at a schoolyard. So, and it's unbelievable because all the support, because we in Gugulethu don't have any resources when it comes to inputs. So Cape Town together, or we were partnered with Seabot Can, which is or a conglomerate of cans or growers in Sea Point, Cape Town, Woodstock, Camps Bay, I think. So those guys have managed to organize and get us the kinds of resources needed. For example, when the cry or the shout went out there, already there were like nurseries saying, wow, come collect a cubic meter of compost. You say, come collect 10, 20 trays of seedlings, come collect the booster, your eco pellets, your bone meal, come collect fruit trees. It's been unbelievable to date what the kind of support with this togetherness that has happened. And what is even more exciting, remember, majority of community gardens or backyard gardens are run by my mother, my aunt, my uncle. So majority is always in that age group. All of a sudden, if you visit our photographs in our WhatsApp group, if you watch our videos we've made so far, majority it's youngsters in this group. And for us, that's a great, great success, just in this short period of the 4 months. Yeah, so I just want to stop there.
Thank you so much, Vuyani. I am going to accept hands for questions. We have 20 minutes. And so please, if you have any questions for any of our speakers, please put your hand up so that we can take your questions. Chrissy, I know you had a question earlier. Can I ask that you ask it because it's like further up and I may have missed it. Brittany, I see your hand. Please come in while Chrissy also comes in after you. But I will scroll up to try and find your question, Chrissy.
I can also tell you that Chrissy's question was about improving the success rate of seedling propagation. So if Alison or Tim maybe wants to answer that, or anyone really. I just wanted to ask Vuyani to talk a little bit about Ilima and the cooperative practices that they use to set up the gardens in Gugulethu.
So Tim is not on the call. Would you like me to speak a bit about the improving the success rate?
Go ahead, Alison, and then after Alison, Vuyani, you can come in to tell us about Ilima.
Okay, so for us, I think the main thing is just going to be that there's ongoing support and people can ask questions, and that we've got a nice mixture of more competent propagators and newer people. So yeah, I think there's some techniques that Tim uses. I think one very useful technique is the way that he covers the bread crates with newspapers, just to create a kind of warmer environment. So it's almost a mini greenhouse thing, which looks like a very useful way of doing it. But I'm sure we're going to be learning more as we go along, and we'll share more as we go along.
Thank you, Alison. Before we take Kasete, I hope that I've said your name correctly. Before we take your question, I'm going to allow Vuyani to answer the question that was posed to him by Brittany.
It looks like we lost Vuyani. Hopefully he'll be able to reconnect.
Okay. So in the meantime, Kasete, you have your hand up. You can go ahead. And also, sorry, just as you come in, there's also a question from Blessing Nyoni asking, is there any place where we can find you in Durban? Yeah, so we will leave that to the speakers. And maybe Laurel, I'm going to put you a bit on the spot because you work with Landness, and I think and Landness is based in Durban. If there are similar, if there's similar work in Durban, maybe you could address Blessing's question, Laurel. But Kasete, go ahead.
Thank you so much. My question was, in the first two projects, there's a focus on seedlings. I was just trying to understand why the focus on seedlings in both the projects.
Dora, Alison, Temba, if you're still here, I think any one of you can come in to answer why the focus on seedlings in the projects.
So from our Ubuntu project, we contribute the seedlings for the people, firstly, to start their own gardens. So this is what we've been doing since the COVID-19 lockdown, and then people wouldn't need a lot of the vegetables that we've been distributing to them. So that is the one. And the seedlings, because they, at least in the communities where we work, those 12 communities, they needed to earn money, to be able to, because we were only providing them with boxes of fresh vegetables. They needed to earn money for them to be able to buy other things that they need. And we felt that the seedlings, also given the limitation of space, the seedlings won't take a lot of space, and they can be easily bought back by the very farmers that are providing that we were buying the fresh produce from. So we felt that, we did get, I think about 3 women in one community who started the seedling business even without us. And when we went around, because we gave them the seedlings and the seeds. So the seeds is, we also give them. So they planted and made seedlings to sell in the neighborhood already without our involvement. And then we decided that that could be something that could be done given the limitations of space, and something that we could encourage our farmers, including Tim, to buy back from these people. And they made a lot more money than, because the lady was a domestic worker, and she used to use half of the money that she earns on transport, traveling from her home to her work. And she decided that she's going to give up that job, and because she was making a lot more money from the seedlings. Her initial seedlings were like 800 seedlings that she made.
Thank you for that.
Okay, I can come in, but we, as the host said, asked me to contribute. The thing is that we, even though we don't really focus on the seedlings, but I've discovered that, remember our farming experience in our area. is those rain-fed agriculture that happen especially during rainy season, which is summer. So seedlings are very much important, especially in winter. Where I am staying is 100 kilometers away from the project that I'm coordinating. And every time when I visit that site, especially during winter, they asked me to bring some seedlings, which are also around 40 kilometers away from me, meaning that I can carry seedling from 140 kilometers to them. So especially during winter season, seedlings are also important in our activities as compared to the summer season where you save your own seeds. And indigenous seeds, we have got experience with it, so it's easy in summer to cultivate. But during winter is where many people need seedlings for their cultivations. It's what I can contribute in that regard.
Okay. Alison, did you want to say something as well, or can we go on to the other questions?
So I've said most of what I wanted to say in the chat, but what I was just about to write now is that by propagating seedlings, you can add enormous value. You can add like 500% or more value from the inputs that you put into what you get out, if you're counting it in terms of any kind of commercial or monetary value. So that gives people a huge opportunity to make money, which is very much needed at the moment.
Thank you, Alison. Karen asks, well, she speaks about there's been a lot of discussion in the Cape Town food dialogues of how many small-scale urban gardens fail within a year of their establishment. There's also been a lot of research around how many food gardens from which producers do sell do not generate meaningful profits. In many cases, profits barely cover expenses. How do we make sure that we address whatever difficulties making failure rates high? I'm thinking maybe Dora, maybe you can share some experiences of what you have done with the Green Business College and Gender CC to help with that. And then maybe Themba or Vuyani, if you have some insights on how to address the difficulties that people are faced with, which make the failure rates high.
I think from our side, one of the things that we identified is definitely training. So people need to know, they need to know how to fertilize their soil, how to make their soil rich, because sometimes people grow, and we've gone back and walked around in the settlements to see which of the gardens are struggling, which have survived. I mean, we did donate a whole lot of, so our seedlings go with compost, which is a huge contribution in terms of soil enrichment. And a lot of people we engage in conversation, they're wanting to find out from us about how to deal with pests, how to deal with rats, all of these other things that contribute to the failure of the crop. And I think the one other important thing is to be able to recognize the fact that obviously not everyone is able to grow, or even passionate about growing. So we gave everyone the seedlings and and then we went back and then identified the people whose vegetables were thriving, and then those are the people that we identified to pull and to give them a more intense training, with the aim of them identify 10 more people under them that they can go back and mentor in the community. And we were also looking at the effect of them being able to sell together. So we would have, like Alison was saying, team giving advice on the kind of seedlings that are in need or in higher demand, with a high demand, and then actually going for those. Also, the crops that are selling more, like tomatoes, obviously, lettuce, and so there are a whole lot of those that are actually fetching a better price, not necessarily spinach. And I know I've just been doing business training for many of these, looking at what could be more profitable. What are some of the crops that are in need, but also easy to grow and faster to grow, that can be sold and people are able to see an income. Definitely I think, you know, a bit of mentoring and coaching to make sure that people are able to identify problems and then get them sorted out, working together in groups to be able to support one another, to also be able to buy the inputs that they need together to lower the costs is also important. Also selling together and getting advice on what kind of crops that they can be able to grow and what the soil that they are farming on, is it suitable for something like that. So I definitely think that there is money to be made in this, and people just need to be aware. I think they're getting a boost because we are donating to them the first lot of the seeds and the seedlings. That's like an injection. And I think from then on, they just have to be able to start selling from there and deducting the money for the seeds and the seedlings going forward. They literally have to get training also on running small businesses.
Thank you very much, Dora. Temba, did you want to come in? You don't have to.
Yeah,
I saw you pop up.
what I can say is we must avoid raising expectation in order to avoid failures, especially for people to expect that they're going to get cash. You know, our approach was that is for their own consumption when we do it, selling the surplus. So through this approach, we've discovered that some also see the monetary value. Some are doing well, they are selling their produce, but it's the approach that we came up with when you approach for self-consumption and selling the surplus. Because when you tell them there's too much money, then the expectations are high, and if they don't make money, then that's why they feel discouraged. So that has been our approach in order to avoid the failures of those gardens. Though we have found that some of the gardens are doing very well and they're selling and they're getting profit. But our approach was that is for self-consumption and we sell the surplus. And we've discovered that most of the gardens that we're having, when they've cultivated, the community buy from them and all the stuff like that. So is the approach that you come in order to avoid failure. If you raise the expectation that much high, you are putting pressure on them also. So they must be flexible, they must govern their own production so that bit by bit, that's why even the project is called Slow Food. So slowly but surely we're getting there.
Thank you, Temba. So that is like, I think, very a good balance in terms of being able to talk to communities about the challenges, and also when you encourage the communities to see the possibility for themselves, they may be more inclined to turn the community garden into a income generating opportunity for the community. And going from there is, we're going to go into Laura's question around where does the produce go. So she's asking, how is it allocated to families if it's a community garden, I'm assuming? Are there any discussions about maybe connecting the gardens to community restaurants or some other way to generate some income and get healthy meals to people at an affordable price? Are any of the farmers and the projects doing work in that regard?
I can answer, at least from the Ubuntu project side. Is it okay, Nandi?
I was muted. Go ahead, Dora.
Yes, so from our side, so from the day one when we set up Ubuntu, as we were delivering, so we got donated money to buy the boxes from the vegetables for the boxes from the farmers in the area. And what we did was that every time when we were delivering the food boxes, and we found household with excess of any form of produce. And at the time, I remember when we started, people had brinjals, people had chomolia, people had millies in the yard. We would buy that bag. And we were doing that deliberately to be able to indicate to them that they have something of value. So if they had such huge amount of brinjals that they couldn't consume themselves or in the home, we were showing them we could be able to buy excess, which is what Temba was saying. And I think that helped a lot with people like for the first time, people seeing, oh, I could earn money from this. So we would buy it back. So that's what we've been saying all along, because Ubuntu Project is not only just for donations, we are also running a food, a veggie box delivery service. And each week we get orders and we deliver. So we are constantly looking for produce. So all over the projects that we started, even on Saturday, we said to the ladies, if you produce a lot enough and you can have extra 20 bunches of spinach, do call us. Then we will buy all of that back for our Ubuntu boxes. So, because we're already buying from 15 smallholder farmers with, half a hectare to a hectare that are already contributing to the Ubuntu box that we are selling, but also to the ones that we are donating, right? So that has been our approach. And I think if anyone knows, a community project with surplus in the Vaal area next to where we're operating, we are happy to buy that produce back to put into our boxes. We advertise every Monday what's inside the box. And if we do happen to have a crop that comes from a group, that we can be able to sell to our customers.
Thank you,
Can I
Dora.
talk?
Yes, Vienna, I was actually going to come to you. I am just a couple of things. When you got cut off, Brittany had asked about the Ilimi project that you're part of, and also Ilima, project that you're a part of, and the question that Dora was answering as well about how do you connect the farmers, the community gardens to community restaurants. I think if you can, in your answer or what you're going to address us on, cover those two areas. And then just to let everyone know, we have about 5 more minutes. So if you have any questions, please ask them so that we can get answers to them. And can we also, if possible, get contact details if our speakers can put them into the chat so that people, if they need to ask questions or want to connect with you, let them know how they can connect with you. Thank you. Go ahead, Vianney. Vianney, your connection seems to be a bit bad. Are you able to move a bit? We can't hear you.
Again, I was out of connection. Am I on now? Am I on? Can I
Yes,
speak?
yeah, we can hear you now.
It's now with us here. But let me just quickly respond to the last question I had around surplus and all that. With us or with accessing or selling the veggies, for us, whatever is produced, remember I said I operate from a school. So my site at the school is more of an educational site or a demonstration site. So produce, majority of it goes to the school feeding system. And then also us community members who are running the garden are taking from that. And if there's any surplus, then we do sell that. But mostly at the schools. But if you look at other gardens or what with the campaign now that we've got with this Amalima, we are having a spring harvest festival as soon as, this spring comes in, and we are sure with all our 12, 13 gardens, there will be produce ready. And we are having that festival where we will have stalls on that one big day. And in those stalls, there'll be also selling of the veggies and also demonstrations, because some of us within our group in Kofi are chefs, some of us are nutritionists. So there's going to be lots of demonstrations around how to prepare nutritious food and dishes that you can prepare with what comes from our gardens. So we are all, our eyes are on the Spring Festival come late September, beginning of October.
Thank you, Vianney. Our speakers have shared their details on the chat box for people who would like to get in touch with them. I saw some questions from KZN. I saw some questions from Eastern Cape. Maybe there could be opportunities for linkages to be able to do similar work or to replicate some of the work that's happening in Limpopo, Gauteng, and the Western Cape. And I think that is a lot of what we are envisioning as the food working group here in the C19 People's Coalition, is finding opportunities for all of us to connect and, where possible, share information and learn together so that communities across South Africa are able to sustain themselves, get food, and not go hungry. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us today. We will share information about the next talk that we will be having. It will probably be in another 2 weeks. We are intending to have different talks around food, 2 o'clock every second Monday. Thank you. Do we have any other questions? No. Thank you very much, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Goodbye. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye, Nande.
Bye.
Bye.